All right, Dev with Crime Hive, and we're learning some new information about the Delphi case. Police have searched the property of Richard Allen, and they found some interesting things. And this information is primarily coming from neighbors, people who were witnessing police search around the property and noted items that were actually taken out of the property and around the property. So we're going to talk about that today, and then also some questions. A lot of questions have been asked. I'm going to kind of go through some of those, and of course some of this is speculation. There's some facts, there's some speculation. We're still learning much more about it, but hopefully this will clarify a few things. So you're looking at an article here from the New York Post, and they were searching around that property for at least 12 hours, and we've learned some interesting things that were taken. So I'll get to that here in just a minute, but one of the questions that was brought up is, were there other murders or missing people in that area recently? Because it's just a really bizarre case, if you will, where all these people, again, continually saying, Richard's just this nice guy, he just blends in, right? We keep talking about that and hearing about it. Well, that's how some of these serial killers in the past have been, right? You've got these people with these, whether it's charm or charisma, or just the ability to seemingly connect with other people, and then we learn, just the horror behind the facade, right? Behind what's actually going on. So, were there other cases? That's definitely something to look into, right? Figure out, who's missing around that area. I mean, there's only 3,000 people in Delphi area, right? But just the surrounding cities and areas. Now, a few interesting items that were collected from the property that we've learned. So I'm going to read this little bit that I found here, and so you've got a lot of unmarked law enforcement, not in uniform, a lot of detectives, a lot of people who were searching. Apparently they towed his car, okay, for possible evidence, and they took thin books, okay, books. That a lot of people are asking, what kind of books could these be? And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking it could be related to anything related to crime scenes or forensics, or books about that. It could be related to belief systems and manuscripts, or some sort of belief that he had that maybe was targeting a certain type of person. That comes to mind. And then, of course, you've got like porn and other things like that could fit into that category of certain books that they're looking for. And then some people have pointed out there could be evidence within the books. It may not even be the books themselves. Maybe there was something in it, inserted in the books, something written down in the books that could be possible evidence there. The shoebox is interesting, right? There's this shoebox that's found out of the house apparently, and that, when I hear that just reminds me of some of these other serial killer cases. Souvenirs and things that are collected to remember the crime. There's a certain satisfaction with these people, right? That they get from reliving that crime. So what's in that shoebox? We don't know. There were clothing items that were collected, and then there was also a shopping bag, apparently. Now, what's interesting is the police were really interested around the property. They were taking pictures around the shed. I heard that they were taking pictures around a fire pit area. So if there's a fire pit involved, right? Neighbors didn't see Richard burning anything that they know of, but if they found something in the ashes, time and time again, evidence is found in those ashes, whether something's burned or when they're trying to hide the crime. There's just little pieces of evidence, whether it's still clothing items or other items from the victims that could have been burned, or just any evidence related to that. They were digging holes, right? There's some holes that were dug. Tiny dig spots. And then I heard something about a small bottle cap. I don't know what that's linked to. If somebody has information on that, been hearing reports about that, about a bottle cap. And then if anybody has more information on the spots that were dug, that would be interesting. So A lot of photos were taken around the fire pit, from what I've heard. They were sifting through this area. So did he bury something in that area again as kind of a souvenir or something to relive that crime? A few other interesting things too. He pled not guilty. Okay, so that's kind of the direction he's going in this case, is he's pleading not guilty. Well, the public outcry is so massive right now at this case that now they're concerned about Richard Allen's safety. So now that's another concern. What if somebody gets to him before we have answers, before we really know what's happening truly in this case? What if he's killed? If he's killed in prison, then obviously that really taints this entire investigation in this case, and we don't get certain answers that we'd like to know with this heinous crime, right? So he was transferred to. There was an article here. And I'll talk about that in a minute here too. But there was an article that, well, actually found the document here. So this is the document that he was transferred from Carroll County Jail into the Indiana Department of Corrections for safekeeping. So he's been moved. This is an actual court order because of just the high-profile nature of it. So we do know that. There was some new information too about when we're going to learn about the public hearing. That's set for November 22nd, so that's coming up. And that will determine whether this case will remain sealed or not. And that's really important, because if we can get those documents unsealed, it's going to shed a lot of light, a whole bit of light here on this case. And then some people had mentioned the initial bail was set at $20 million, but later on they determined that there's going to be no bond now. So he's held with no bond. And then let me go back to a few other aspects here real quick here. Okay, I wanted to come back to this article here, this Fox 59 article. And we know that Richard Allen worked at CVS, right? He actually printed off photos for Abby and Libby's funeral, okay? And apparently he didn't even charge the family. And again, just makes you wonder. He's so involved with the community. People know him because of his potential alcohol issue. The question is, did he let something slip at some point? I mean, if he's getting drunk, potentially blacking out, did he say something to family or friends? Somebody may know something, right? They may just haven't connected the dots yet, but now that we know he's a suspect, did he just say something that may be helpful for this investigation? And then, the odd behavior. There's some other talk. People were asking questions. Apparently, when he was out in public, he wasn't talking very much, so he's pretty quiet, according to a lot of people. Some people think maybe it was an attempt for him to conceal his voice because he knew about the audio, right? He's probably following this case along and potentially trying to deter the investigation. So people said that he shared food with his wife often, just didn't order his own food. So some people thought maybe he was trying to not leave behind DNA. But the reality is if police wanted the DNA, if he's under surveillance, they're going to find a way to get his DNA, whether it's using other family members for samples or taking various items. I mean, you can only be so careful, right? I mean, if he's eating, if he's drinking, leaving things behind, throwing things away, there's just so many possibilities for him to leave behind DNA. So that was interesting too. Have police been surveilling him for some time, and did they get DNA that way? Some people actually mentioned that he had committed some other crimes, and I haven't been able to confirm this yet. So if somebody has an article about him potentially stealing some items and trespassing, if police actually got DNA from a recent arrest, I haven't found anything on that. And from what I understand, from my background as well, I mean, I've taken DNA from people, and it was because they committed a felony. And if they've committed a felony, you can get DNA swabs from them and potentially link them to other cases. But if it's a misdemeanor crime, typically you're not able to get that DNA from someone. I guess it depends on the area, right? Every state, every area is different with DNA collection. policies and that sort of thing. So those are some questions. That's really all I had. If you guys have anything else to add, more information continues to filter in. I'm trying to post these videos as quickly as I can, with as busy as I am with other things. And again, some of this is definitely speculation, so keep that with a grain of salt. Some of it is factual. We're still trying to figure all that out. If you have some good comments to leave behind that may be helpful for this investigation, some articles, links, feel free to share that. And I'll come out with some more videos soon. All right, chat with you all soon.